Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about One Piece Season 2. We've also got our On Beat segment where we've got 3 trailers and a news story to go over. And as always, our On the Horizon segment where we talk about what's coming up in the next week or so. And that's where we're going to start things off with our On the Horizon segment. On the Horizon. On the Horizon. As I mentioned, On the Horizon is where we talk about what's coming up on the horizon, hence the name. And we're going to start things off with The Comeback. So I never watched The Comeback, the series with Lisa Kudrow on HBO. My sister watched it, I think. But what's interesting is that this is its 3rd and final season. Its 2nd season came out 12 years ago.
Jeez Louise.
So, I mean, this is just kind of the era we live in where things can come back. But this is interesting because it's not like a sequel series. It's literally like the 3rd and final season.
It's literally The Comeback.
Yeah.
It was kind of like Curb Your Enthusiasm, where like a new season would happen whenever
Larry David had something.
Whenever Larry David wanted to do it, yeah.
But I don't think he ever had a gap that big. No. I think he had the longest gap was maybe like 4 or 5 years, but like 12 years is like
12 years excessive. Is quite the gap, yeah.
Yeah, and also with Curb, I think when they did have a long gap, it was after they were like 8 seasons in or something. Whereas like The Comeback is like only had 2 seasons. And then it was gone for 12 years, you know? It's kind of crazy, but I remember my sister liked the show when it was originally on.
It's funny because, like, The Righteous Gemstones also had a gap.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it was.
What's funny now is that the gaps are the norm.
Right. Oh, yeah. Because like, it was like...
outside of procedurals, like, you know, we were talking earlier about Nathan Fillion, so we mentioned, like, The Rookie and stuff. Outside of procedurals like that, most shows don't air every year anymore. And that's, like, new.
Okay, yeah. It's not like there were long gaps between seasons for Righteous Gemstones, because season 1 was 2019, then 2022, and season 3 actually came out the year after, and then season 4 was last year, 2025.
The first gap was probably because of the pandemic.
Yeah, the first gap was pandemic, but then you got like another 2-year gap between season 3 in 2023 and season 4 in 2025.
Yeah, which is like I'm saying, like nowadays, the gap is normal.
Right, yeah.
Like almost every show, like a season comes out and then it's at least 2 years before the next season comes. And that's like new. That was never the case before. And I think it started, you'd get some shows that would do that, maybe just on HBO, like Curb Your Enthusiasm or something would do that. And then that kind of like normalized that like, oh, it's okay to do that. And then you started having issues with like the pandemics or like strikes and things like writer strikes that would delay seasons. And then they just got comfortable with the fact of like, oh, we can wait a couple years, it's fine.
Oh,
but
yeah,
even the shows that famously had long gaps didn't used to. Like Stranger Things, I don't think there was a gap between season 1 and season 2, or season 2 and season 3. But then like between season 3 and season 4, there was a big gap, and then between season 4 and season 5, there was a really big gap, you know? I think it's interesting to see that dynamic shift. And I think it's almost actually over, oddly enough. Like, it seems like it's going back to going more like every year now. Because I know, like, One Piece was in production for season 3. We're talking about One Piece season 2 right now. And One Piece was in production for season 3, like, last year. So they're, like, already, like, trying to get ahead, you know, and like, get stuff out at a time. Like even though One Piece had between season 1 and season 2 was, like, I think a 3-year gap or something.
Oh, yeah. And that makes sense for One Piece, because like it is a massive, extravagant production.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you see it, it's good that they are already in the middle of filming season 3.
Mm-hmm.
So they are trying to, you know, keep the gap smaller between seasons already. It's got to be tough on the actors though, because like they're still filming season 3, but they also have to do press to promote season 2.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a grueling schedule when you think about it.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, that's how it used to be for everybody, like everything on TV used to be that way. I mean, again, Game of Thrones, another example. Season 1 came out, season 2 came out the next year, season 3 came out the next year, season 4 came out the next year.
It was a yearly, it was like every other show back then. It was year, you could expect like a new season every year.
And then like at some point it would go like, okay, but between season 4 and season 5, there's like a 2-year gap. And then between season 5 and season 6, there's like a 3-year gap. And it just kept happening over and over. And that kind of the industry started shifting in that direction. And now it seems like it's slowly shifting back. Like not fully to like every year a new season, but to like not having huge gaps anymore. But I mean, like we said, there were other circumstances that were pushing things in that direction too. There were 2 big writer strikes and there was a pandemic, global pandemic. Those both got in the way. But anyways, that's the comeback. That's returning on Saturday, March 21st on HBO and HBO Max. Next up, we have The Count of Monte Cristo, a new limited series is coming on Saturday, March 21st on PBS. This is kind of interesting because they just recently, like a French production, did like all the Three Musketeer books as like a series of films like that were kind of high profile that were releasing very quickly. And now they're doing Count of Monte Cristo as like a limited series. So it's just interesting, the release strategy on those. Next up, we've got Saturday Night Live UK is coming on Saturday, March 21st on Peacock. This is the first time they've done this. This is a new version of Saturday Night Live. It's kind of like how you have The Office in different regions and stuff. Well, now you have a Saturday Night Live, but it's the UK version. Coming on Saturday, March 21st on Peacock. Daredevil Born Again is returning on Tuesday, March 24th on Disney+. This is another example of where we had a return with Born Again, and then that was only like, 2 years ago? So this is kind of like less than 2 years. I think it was like a year and a half or something.
Yeah, about
pretty quick. Pretty quick turnaround. I was expecting a longer delay, but that's Tuesday, March 24th on Disney+. Bait, this is a new movie that was written by and stars Riz Ahmed, and it's about an actor who lands the role of James Bond. But he's like an Indian or like I believe he's actually Middle Eastern actor, and he lands the role of James Bond. And so it's kind of like about that. Like it's about kind of the comedic situations arising from that, but also just like the idea of like typecasting and racial animus about that kind of stuff, like fan backlash and stuff. So that's coming on Wednesday, March 25th to Amazon Prime, which is interesting because Amazon Prime, or Amazon in general, also owns the rights to James Bond. So it's like they're making full use of that, not just making James Bond movies, but making movies where James Bond is a concept within the movie. Next, we got Something Very Bad is Going to Happen. This is the TV series that is produced by the Duffer Brothers, and it's coming on Thursday, March 26th to Netflix. Super Mario Bros. Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Meetup in Bellabel Park is coming on Thursday, March 26th to Switch 2. So mostly multiplayer content that was added. There's some single player stuff. Are you going to bother upgrading? I think it's a $20 or $30 upgrade, isn't it?
I mean, I probably will eventually, but like, I'm not gonna like rush to do that.
This is a wait for me. Like, maybe I'll get it eventually, but like, I have no need for it right now.
Exactly.
But that's Thursday, March 26th for Switch 2. For All Mankind is returning for its 5th season on Friday, March 27th on Apple TV+. I was binging that when Pluribus was on just because I was trying to binge as much as I could off Apple TV+ that I wanted. And I made it through the first 3 seasons, I believe, of For All Mankind. I didn't get to watch season 4, so now I can look forward to both season 4 and 5 when Pluribus season 2 comes back, or some other show on Apple TV+ comes that I really want to get in on again. Mike and Nick and Alice, which we talked about the trailer for, I think either last week or the week before, I don't remember. That is coming on Friday, March 27th to Hulu. Also coming on Friday, March 27th, but to theaters is They Will Kill You, which we also talked about the trailer for that before. But that's kind of a more grindhouse version of like Ready or Not. But that is it for our On the Horizon segment. And now we're going to move on to On Beat. On Beat is our news segment, and we're going to start off with the one news story we have. We got one news story and 3 trailers. And the one news story we have is that we had previously talked on this podcast about a Buffy reboot that was in development. It's spearheaded by Chloe Zhao, who did like The Eternals. She also did Hamnet, which just got some Oscar wins this last week. And Sarah Michelle Gellar was reprising her role and acting as a producer for it. It really looked like a sure thing. It just seemed like, okay, yeah, this is coming out.
They announced a new lead for it. It seemed like it was greenlit. It seemed like it was...
They filmed the pilot. They filmed the full pilot.
Yeah, they filmed the full pilot, but...
Which streamers don't do that often anymore. Streamers usually just go straight to series order.
Yeah, they go straight to series. They commissioned a pilot for this. Yeah, and apparently things fell apart because Hulu didn't like the pilot. There was conflicting notes where they said the pilot was too small. The notes that came back was it was too small, so they wrote a script. They rewrote the script, made it bigger, gave Sarah Michelle Gellar more screen time, and then the note came back that, oh, this is too expensive to produce.
Too small, too big.
Yeah, too small,
They couldn't find the Goldilocks.
They couldn't find the Goldilocks, apparently. These contradictory notes. There was also apparently concern about the lead actress looking too young and the whole project skewing too young as a result, which is like, okay.
I think she does look younger than Sarah Michelle Gellar looked when she was in Buffy, but that's also like the times.
But Sarah Michelle Gellar was like in her 20s when she played Buffy, and this girl is like genuinely 16.
Yeah, and it's the times. I think people just looked older in the 90s than they do now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think they did, yeah.
But also, not just that, but I mean, on to the point of like skewing young or something. The show was always kind of supposed to skew young. It was a coming of age story. It was supposed to skew young but be challenging. So I don't know. The main note that I've heard was like Sarah Michelle Gellar saying that there is a very specific executive that just did not get it, did not like it, didn't watch the original series, had no interest in it, and made that very clear.
Yeah, and Variety and Deadline named the executive Craig Ehrlich, apparently, is the head of original programming at Hulu, was the executive who Sarah Michelle Gellar was talking about, so it seems like there was some bias on that executive side involved in it too. It just seems like there was a confluence of things that came together that like killed this. It wasn't one thing, it was just like it did not have an amazing pilot, and ultimately Hulu didn't want to invest the money to go to series, and it's dead for right now. Hulu, apparently they're still interested in doing something with the Buffy property, but I mean, who knows if anything's gonna happen now, because they had been trying to do something with Buffy for ages, and one of the biggest hurdles was getting Sarah Michelle Gellar involved in it.
And she got on board big time for this, and then
she got
basically snubbed.
Yeah, she wasn't on board with like previous attempts, but she got on board with this thanks to Chloe Zhao, who was able to really convince Sarah of her vision and sell her on it. So that was like the biggest hurdle. So like, yeah, it seemed like when Sarah Michelle Gellar got involved and she started promoting it, that's why it seemed like, oh, it's happening now.
Yeah.
So
it just seemed like really, a sure thing. Yeah. It's also like, I think it also has to do with the fact that they did film a pilot, and that doesn't really happen that much anymore. Like, kind of, you know, streamers usually order things straight to series. So you start hearing stories about like, oh, they're filming this and they did this scene and that scene, and they're on location and they're doing that. And so it just kind of reads to us as like, oh, so it's happening. And that's because of nowadays. Nowadays, we don't really have that pilot process as much anymore as we used to. So it's weird to like see something filming and then have nothing come of it. Back in the day, this happened all the time. Most pilots did not get made, you know? Every show had a pilot made for it, and most of them didn't get made. And now it's kind of the opposite. Most shows don't have pilots at all, and the ones that do have pilots still get made, like, because there's just so much content coming out in general. So it is kind of like a whiplash a bit, you know, for the time.
Yeah, I mean, they found a new Slayer, a new lead in Ryan Kiera Armstrong. They proudly announced that casting. And it's funny, too, because, like, yeah, they filmed the pilot. From the accounts in the trades, like, the pilot was rough. But, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, the Game of Thrones pilot was rough, you know?
That's pilots in general, right?
Yeah.
So it needed retooling anyway, which which I think like everybody expected that. So, but it was kind of like, the script went through a total rewrite, and I don't think the rewritten script was like, nothing was filmed from that. So the pilot was filmed from the initial script, and apparently Sarah Michelle Gellar only has like a brief cameo at the end.
Mm-hmm.
The whole like hour or so, I don't know exactly how long. I'm imagining it's about an hour because that's like that's typical for like dramas, and I mean that
45 minutes,
45 minutes,
with space for commercials.
But yeah, I mean that's how long the original Buffy episodes were.
Yeah,
around 45 minutes to an hour. So like I'm imagining that the bulk of that was all about Ryan's character, her Slayer, and then the ending stinger, like it cut to like Buffy.
Which is kind of like the right way to do that, probably, because you want to focus in on the new character that's going to be the new lead and stuff. And then at the end, after you get everybody on board with your new character, then you go like, okay, but we are tying in all this other stuff.
Yeah, we are tying in all this other. Yeah, I think that was the right approach. But apparently Hulu executives wanted to see Sarah Michelle Gellar like more involved in the pilot, to see more of her character.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like one of the notes for the rewrite.
What they should have done is just organized it so that they released the first, like, say, 2 episodes at the same time, which a lot of streamers do now. I mean, like, the new season of Invincible just came out. I think they released the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
It's very common, if you don't dump your whole season at once, that when you do launch a season, on a streamer at least, not on, like, TV, but, like, on a streamer, you'll release, like, 2 to 3 episodes at once, and then go week to week after that. And it just makes sense, like, oh yeah, okay. So you want fans to be enough on board that they're going to continue watching because they know Sarah Michelle Gellar's in it, and you want that thing. That's why you release 2 episodes at the same time, and you have the second episode have more focus on Sarah Michelle Gellar, but you still have the first episode doing a good job of establishing a new character.
So I'm kind of conflicted on this. On the one hand, I feel like there was the potential for something special to come out of this, and it's sad that it's not moving forward. At the same time, I'm like, maybe it's better that they left well enough alone with the IP and just let the original series.
Yeah, it's like simultaneously a bummer and a relief.
Right, yeah. It's like, I can't judge anything about this because, like, obviously I haven't seen this pilot.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I can't personally, like, judge how good or bad this would have been. But yeah, it's kind of like, maybe it's best they left well enough alone with the IP, you know? Yeah. Because, like, very few on the creative side, from what I've seen, there was hardly anybody involved in the writing staff of the original series, like, involved in this one.
Yeah. And the biggest involvement was Sarah Michelle Gellar being on board as, like, both an actor and as a producer as well.
Yeah, and as a producer,
That was kind of like the biggest thing there. But, like, obviously Joss Whedon is, like, he's canceled. He's not attached at all.
Yeah, he's not going to be attached at all. No, and we don't need Joss Whedon.
Yeah, and then the other, like, major writers and stuff, they aren't involved and stuff. So it's, Oh
yeah. And I would say the writing staff that was on the original Buffy series was actually, like, more important than Joss Whedon, you know? I think people like, you know, Marty Noxon, Jane Epperson,
and they kind of took over because Joss spread himself kind of thin when he was doing both Buffy and Angel, and then even thinner when he was doing both Buffy and Angel and Firefly. And Firefly kind of became his real baby at that point, and then Buffy and Angel were like, he basically had almost no involvement.
Yeah.
And Buffy and Angel for, like, the final seasons of those shows.
I think, like, people like them, like, they provided, like, the voice and tone of that series, you know? I think Joss Whedon should get credit for coming up with the idea and for, like, getting that ball rolling, but I think as showrunner, he assembled, like, a fantastic writer's room. And I think, like, I would give the lion's share of the credit to them, personally.
Yeah, I think, you know who would do a good Buffy remake?
Who?
And this is kind of like the showrunner version of typecasting. Sarah Gamble. She did The Magicians.
Yep.
She was also one of the lead writers on Supernatural.
Yep.
She would do a good Buffy.
Yeah.
She's got she's got that, like, quirky, fun, but, like, deeply feminist, like, voice in her storytelling, you know? That, like, Buffy requires. Like, some people would go like, oh, because they're gonna make Buffy woke. It's like, Buffy was always woke.
You're gonna make Buffy woke.
Yeah.
The first, as far as I can tell, I don't want to, like, accidentally take credit away from somebody, like, but the first, like, mainstream primetime drama that had an out lesbian character.
I think probably that is true. I think if you included comedies, it would be Ellen, I think, was first. But
yeah, Ellen's first. Yeah, that's why I said drama.
Yeah.
That's why I said that like TV show. Yeah, probably. I don't know because
it was always a feminist message at the heart of the story.
I mean, that's why I said like I don't want to like step on anybody's toes because like I certainly like did not watch everything at the time. Like that Buffy was the show I was watching, so that was like for me like the first time I saw that on TV.
There had been implied like lesbian relationships. Like Xena is a good example of that, you know?
But I'm talking like out. Like, this is like, I'm not talking like implied, like, oh, we're dancing around it, like, hee in your window, like, you know,
The point being, though, that like Buffy's always been woke. Buffy was always like a feminist.
I mean, that's story, what I'm pointing out. Yeah. People like anybody saying, "Oh no, they would make Buffy woke," is like you're a moron.
Yeah, that's why I said like Sarah Gamble would be a good pick because she's also got kind of like a feminist voice in her storytelling, and it would fit, like it would work, you know. She's also quirky and fun and does like weird things narratively and stuff.
Oh yeah, make it more woke so you freaking morons don't watch it. Yeah, that's good. I don't care.
But that's our one news story. We've also got 3 trailers to go over. Our first trailer is for Pizza Movie. So this is a new movie starring Gaten from Stranger Things, Dustin himself. Yeah, and Daniel Radcliffe as a butterfly.
You know, like, it's been a while since we had a really high quality stoner comedy.
Yeah.
I think this is, I think this is it. This is the next generation.
Yeah.
Like, this looks absolutely bonkers in, like, the best way. I didn't know what to expect. Like, the log line for it is 2 friends get high, and then they struggle to go down the stairs to get a pizza.
Yeah. It kind of gives you, like, Harold and Kumar vibes. Not the trailer doesn't give me Harold and Kumar vibes, like, at all, but, like, the concept of this, like, very mundane task, and then turning into, like, this epic adventure.
Yeah. And so we're seeing the hallucinations and stuff they're seeing, and like there's all kinds of shit that's actually happening.
Yeah, it's almost like a supernatural bend too.
Yeah,
like it almost seems like the hallucinations are like manifesting into reality and becoming actually dangerous, not just because they're hallucinations and you could trip and fall or something, but like it could actually kill you or something. So there's like this whole kind of weird bend there that's like I like it when they don't try to like logically explain it. They just go with it kind of attitude that like we don't really have too much in movies and shows anymore, so it's kind of cool to see that back.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I already mentioned it, but I love the Daniel Radcliffe cameo. Have no idea, like we don't hear his voice, we don't see him. They just show a butterfly flying around, and then they have it pop up on the screen, and Daniel Radcliffe has the butterfly.
Oh, that's great.
Like, okay, I imagine it's gonna talk. Maybe Daniel Radcliffe was on set the whole time, just like holding a butterfly wearing like a green lycra suit. I don't know, but I just think that was a little funny bit in the trailer. Next up, we got a trailer for Dune Part 3. I wasn't sure we should cover this because, I mean, who really talks about Dune, you know, little small-scale indie projects like this. But we should talk about it, I guess, because, you know, Timothée Chalamet's in the news, so might as well. We finally got our trailer for Dune Part 3. What are your thoughts? This is our first trailer of it.
I mean, it looks like Dune.
That it does.
Yeah, it looks like a Dune movie.
You have Robert Pattinson looking like Devon Sawa?
Yeah. Robert Pattinson looks crazy in this. I don't know, man. It looks epic. I really like,
It looks like Dune.
It looks like Dune. I don't have much to say about it, to be honest.
It is a huge trailer, though. It's awesome. The song use in it is awesome. Like, we get to see, like, returns that we knew about that are, like, being shown here, like Jason Momoa being back. And like I said, we see Robert Pattinson in a new role in this. So, yeah, it looks good. I'm excited for this. This is kind of like a no-duh. And it's releasing on the same day. It's been now cemented by the trailer that it is releasing on the same day as Doomsday, which means Doomsday is real.
2 Florence Pugh movies on the same day.
Yeah, 2 massive Florence Pugh movies on the same day. And Doomsday is now real.
Doomsday, yes.
The new Barbenheimer is Doomsday.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that is Dune Part 3.
Which, you know, We're still waiting on our first full trailer for Doomsday.
Yeah, we've just gotten those little, like, teasers. But I remember when we did get those teasers, one of the things we talked about that was interesting was that Doomsday isn't coming out until the end of the year, but there's another Marvel movie coming out in summer, and they hadn't shown anything for that yet. But they were starting to already promote Doomsday, and they hadn't even shown anything for this other massive Marvel movie, like Marvel's biggest non-Avengers franchise. And that's Spider-Man Brand New Day. But now we got a trailer for Brand New Day. That came out today.
Yep, that came out today. It looks great. It's really interesting.
It's visually gorgeous. Man, there are so many shots in this trailer that just kind of had my jaw hanging open. The opening shot with him, like, it looks like he's sitting, it looks almost like that old, poster of all the workmen, like, sitting on the beam on, like, the skyscraper that's under construction. Like, he's sitting on a beam way up in the sky. And then the camera rotates around so you realize, oh no, he's hanging from the beam, not sitting on it. And then it goes from that into him, like, eventually doing this, like, free fall from the building with this cool, like, perspective, like, inside the mask shot. It was like a smorgasbord of, like, beautiful shots, I think.
Right. Oh, yeah. And it looks like, they're doing the storyline where, like, Peter starts, like, turning into a spider.
Yeah. I remember this from the animated series.
Yeah. Because they mentioned, like,
it was like an X-Men crossover, I remember.
Oh, yeah. There's a scene where he wakes up and there's webs all over his room. And then they mention, like, his molecular structure is changing. He goes to Bruce Banner to try. That's how we
uses the M word. Remember when Marvel couldn't use that word?
Yeah, he says you're mutating. Mm-hmm. He goes to Bruce Banner to try to find out what's happening to him. So it looks like that's going to be, like, a big part of the storyline.
Yeah.
And we got some fun scenes with the Punisher, with good old Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the big selling points of this trailer are organic web shooters.
Yes.
Because that was shown.
It's organic because again, he's changing into a spider, so he's got organic web shooters now.
Yeah. Punisher.
Yes.
Who has, like, a few brief scenes in it. He has, like, one kind of funny scene towards the beginning, and he has, like, another, like, very brief.
I love it where he's about to swear. He's about to say the F word, and Spider-Man webs up his mouth before he can say it.
And says, go home.
Hey, go home, Frank. Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. And then another big thing is Scorpion.
Yeah,
which is people have been waiting for since the first Spider-Man movie with the first MCU Spider-Man movie.
It's interesting because it does seem like there's a lot going on in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, how are they going to tie it all together? Because there's also the shot of a mysterious character, which is Sadie Sink's character. Mm-hmm. You don't know because she's, like, in a hoodie, and you can't, like, really tell who it is in a trailer.
It's also an implication of the hand.
Yep, we see the hand returning, and it's kind of like, oh, Peter Parker starts turning into an actual spider, and he still has to do his crime fighting. And of course, that's the point the hand would turn up. That's the most Spider-Man thing ever.
It's kind of funny because the Spider-Man comics were always kind of about him handling a multitude of problems simultaneously.
Yes.
And how that was, like, stressful for him and how he would navigate the fact that he had constant things happening. All of the movies have kind of been more singular.
Yeah, had been more singular.
They've been like, oh, there's this single problem that's going on. Where in the comics, it's always been kind of like, there's tons of shit going wrong at the same time and he's having to cope with that. And that seems to be the kind of approach they're taking with this movie is that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
But a lot of these things are happening. They're not related.
Yeah, they're not related at all. They just happen to be happening at the same time.
Which I know some people are concerned because they're like, there's a lot of stuff. And it's like, yeah, but we've gotten a lot of comic book movies that surprisingly were able to pull it off despite having a lot of stuff. I still think, like, Infinity War is miraculously paced for how many characters and how much stuff is happening. It's so well paced. Like, it gives everybody a moment to shine. It really works. And then you look at something like Superman, That was announced. That was the first major movie, or the first movie period, but not the first project, but the first movie for the new DCU. It's the, like, return of Superman with a new actor, everything. And then when it was being announced, when we started getting, like, information about it, it was like, oh, we have a Green Lantern in it, Hot Girl's in it, Mr. Terrific's in it. Like, what the fuck? Why are there so many damn characters in this? And then it's like, oh,
it turns out it's well balanced to the point where, like, everybody gets just enough screen time, but James Gunn said the movie was about Superman, and it is about Superman. The other characters get just enough screen time to be there and be relevant, but they don't like overwhelm the movie or accidentally become the film stars.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what the kind of thing when I see like this now, I kind of see it in a new lens. I think if I'd seen this trailer 10 years ago, maybe I might be a little bit more worried.
Right.
But
yeah.
We've kind of established now, like a lot of movies have come out that seem to be taking on too much, but they're able to balance it, you know? So I'm hopeful that they'll be able to balance it. I have a lot of trust in Destin Daniel Cretton after Shang-Chi. I think that was the best MCU movie of Phase 4 in my opinion. And, him doing Spider-Man makes a lot of sense because he's a massive Spider-Man fan. When it comes to Spider-Man directors, the only two that are massive Spider-Man fans are Sam Raimi and Destin Daniel Cretton. And Daniel Cretton even shared an anecdote that like Spider-Man was like his son's first word or something.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
Because he talked about Spider-Man so much and had so much Spider-Man stuff around that his son's first word was Spider-Man or something.
That's really funny. That's really cool.
You know, and we used to hear stories about Sam Raimi and growing up and being like a massive Spider-Man fan.
Oh yeah, Sam Raimi is like definitely like a huge 60s Silver Age era Spider-Man nerd.
Yeah. So it's like I have a lot of confidence in the people who are making this. I have a lot of confidence in the MCU, even though there's reason to be skeptical. But I feel like this is kind of them pulling themselves back together. I think they've been working on that in this like last phase. And now it seems like, okay, they've kind of got their shit back together, hopefully. And just like the general climate of being able to have these comic book movies that have so much going on but are able to manage, like we mentioned Superman, you know, is a perfect example. So I have confidence in this.
Right. Oh yeah.
But it's coming out this summer. It's going to be exciting. That's it for our trailers and our on-beat segment. And now we're going to move on to our final segment, full spoilers. This week we are talking about Season 2 of One Piece. Again, we are doing this from the perspective of me, somebody who's read the manga, watched the anime, and Will, somebody who has not. Who is culturally aware of One Piece because it's all over the zeitgeist, so he knows certain things that maybe
I was like exposed a little bit to One Piece. I've seen a couple episodes of the anime, you know, like I've read like a couple chapters of the manga, but like nothing significant, you know.
Yeah.
In the past. Like
and you're culturally aware just because it's in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, it's in the zeitgeist. Like I saw a few episodes of the 4Kids dub when that came out.
Oh God, the worst.
Your favorite dub?
The worst.
The preferred One Piece. You said you wanted the 4Kids One Piece episodes remastered on 4K Blu-ray in a steelbook?
Yes, totally.
The Criterion collection?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Criterion 4Kids One Piece, yes.
Yeah. So, like, I knew of it, you know. I knew, like, the basic characters. I knew Luffy, I knew Zoro, which in the 4Kids they called him Zolo for some stupid reason, which I always thought Zolo sounded freaking stupid. I was like,
I know why. It is stupid, but I know why.
Yeah.
And that's because in Japanese there is no L. There's only like R sounds, but the R and L sounds are very close. So a lot of times if you see something that should be an L, it's using an R, but it sounds kind of like an L. So that's why. But I don't know why they did it on the 4Kids dub.
Why do that for an English audience?
Maybe they were afraid of a copyright issue or something, even though I think Zoro was already in public domain at that point.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know.
Strange. I knew Nami. I knew Chopper before this. Mm-hmm. You know, like I knew about Chopper.
Oh yeah, you were good friends with Chopper. You guys used to hang.
Yeah, we used to hang. So like, I knew some One Piece.
Yeah.
Already. Yeah. But like,
you had the general gist of things. And then of course now we're talking about Season 2. We did an episode where we covered Season 1. So you watched the entire first season of the live action One Piece before this.
We wouldn't be talking about this if I didn't.
Yeah. And you dug that.
Yeah, I dug it.
Now you get into Season 2, and as a anime fan, the one thing I'm curious about your reaction to is that everything escalates a lot when you get to Season 2. And I'd mentioned that before, like the Grandline is like a huge deal. And I thought they were going to end the first season on the Grand Line, and they didn't. They did that in the second episode. But once you get to the Grand Line, you realize it's like a whole new game. You know, like the threats are much bigger. There's like whole new systems coming into play with like the way things have to be navigated is completely different. Like it's just like a whole new world. It's like everything changes once you hit the Grand Line.
Yeah,
and so I was really curious about what your reaction would be to that.
I think the biggest thing about season 2 is Baroque Works, because Baroque Works is mentioned in season 1. You see Zorro like kill a member of Baroque Works in season 1.
In the first episode, yeah. His introductory scene.
His introductory scene as he's killing a member of Baroque Works, but they're not a factor in season 1.
Yeah.
Season 2 is
fish in the Grand Line.
Season 2 is basically all about Baroque Works. Baroque Works members appear in practically every episode of the season.
Yes.
And I love it because I did not know how big this organization was. So every episode or something, they're like introducing new members of this organization, and they're each like more ridiculous than the last. And I just love it. I was like, oh, every time, like the first 2 that we're introduced to in the season are Miss Wednesday and Mr. 9. They're the first and then we meet Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine, I think is her name. Yes. Yeah. They're the next 2 that we meet. I mean, it just spirals from there. There's like a ton of characters. Like,
actually, I think technically the first ones we meet are Mr. 5, Miss Valentine, and Miss All Sunday.
Oh,
that's like the very first scene of the season.
That's it, yeah, because they open the season with Miss All Sunday, who is also Nico Robin. We don't find that out till the end of the season, her real name, which is an interesting choice, because, like, again, I have some pre-knowledge where, like, I know Nico Robin is, like, a major player in the series, you know? Well, this is full spoilers, so I can say this. She ends up being one of the Straw Hats, which I knew going into this already. So I'm kind of like watching her here, like as a villain, as a Baroque Works member. Now the excitement is seeing like, oh, how did she make that transition from being this villainous character to being a member of the crew? And I'm excited to see that transpire.
Yeah.
Which will transpire eventually. But like I thought the season was great. This is a 10 out of 10 show for me.
There's honestly a lot more action. There's a lot more devil fruits.
There's like a lot more
devil fruit was something introduced in the first season with Luffy.
Yeah.
And it was seen as this like very rare thing. And like there's a line that I think Usopp has where he's like, does everybody have a devil fruit? Because so plentiful.
Because like pretty much all the members of Baroque Works that we see like have a devil fruit fruit ability. Yeah. You know, yeah.
And that's the thing. That's why the Grand Line's such a big deal. Because these seas are like rookie seas, you know, like East Blue and North Blue and all those, they're rookie shit, you know?
I'm thinking
Grand Line is the pro leagues.
I'm thinking devil fruits actually come from the Grand Line. That seems like to be correct to me, because it seems like if so many people can have a devil fruit and they're all like mostly like from the Grand Line, that seems to me like, oh, there must be more devil fruits in the Grand Line than the East Blue.
I think it's more because they haven't really revealed that even in the manga, like exactly where they come from and stuff. But I think it's more that the Grand Line is the pro leagues. Everything before that is like easy. Grand Line is much harsher. I mean, not even just like the enemies and stuff, but like the weather is constantly changing. The seas are much rougher. There's much bigger sea creatures in the sea. The hazards are much, much grander in the Grand Line.
Right,
than they are
exactly.
in where they came from. So it's kind of like, I think that's a lot of it. It's less that there's more devil fruits in the Grand Line, so there's more people with them, but it's more like the toughest, strongest people are the most likely to get a devil fruit, and those are the people that make it to the Grand Line.
Right. That makes sense too. Yeah.
But yeah, so like the first season, we kind of got these mini arcs where we'll do 2-episode arcs here and there. Like the first episode is a kind of self-contained arc.
Actually, like the majority of arcs in this are one episode. Logtown is one episode. Reverse Mountain is one episode. Whiskey Peak is one episode. Little Garden is 2 episodes. And then Drum Kingdom is 2 episodes.
Well, Drum Kingdom's 3 episodes.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, Drum Kingdom was 3 episodes.
Yeah, but I just mean like that's kind of what season 1 was like. You'd have the first location was like one episode. Then they went to the second location. That was like, I think, one episode again. Yeah, then they went and it was like really, 2 episodes. And then like
they're really like condensing these arcs, into
So, They're already in like a couple hundred, they're already like over 100 chapters into the story. Right. They're really condensing like big time, to the point where like it kind of worries some people, but at the same time, it's like, if you want to get any kind of closure in the live action series, if you have any hopes at all that the live action series is going to have like a satisfactory ending of any kind, they have to do this. They have to condense the shit out of it because there's thousands of chapters, or there's well over 1,000 chapters now.
Logtown is the last stop before they enter the Grand Line, the last stop in the East Blue, you could say.
It's like the start of the Golden Age. We saw Logtown in the very first scene of One Piece.
Oh yeah, Logtown is where Gold Roger was executed.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's also where he set off for his journey from. So, like Luffy, he also started at Logtown.
Yeah. This is a pretty iconic thing because they go there and Buggy the Clown, making his return, ambushes Luffy with Alvida, who now has devil fruit power.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're already like starting off with like more people having devil fruit powers. Like they ambush Luffy and they have this fake trial and this execution where Luffy just laughs at the execution just like Gold Roger laughed.
Mm-hmm.
And one interesting thing they did with this episode was they introduced an important character way earlier than he's supposed to be introduced, which is the character Bartolomeo.
Oh yeah, he's, I think, like around chapter 800 or something.
Yeah. Who becomes a fan of Luffy after he witnesses Buggy's execution.
It's interesting because canonically, he was there when all that happened.
Yeah, so this is interesting. So they brought him in early, or they showed him like early, but it's not out of place because canonically in the comics, in the anime, he was there. Like his backstory is he became a Luffy fan because he was there to see Buggy's, attempted execution of Luffy, and he saw Luffy laugh, and that made him like a fan of Luffy. So to actually introduce him in this place, like, it makes total sense.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff like that where, like, you'll find out more details about something and then you, like, way later in the series, like in the manga. And then now that they're kind of redoing this, it makes sense that you might get a little cameo. There's like a major cameo. I don't want to say because even though it's full spoilers, this is like, it's too big of a spoiler. There's like a major cameo that's just like a silhouette at the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like huge cameo. And it's like, it's like a cool scene because if you watch the manga stuff, you see it and you immediately know who it is. And if you don't, then you have no clue who it is and it doesn't matter.
And then they do the same thing like an episode later when they get to Reverse Mountain, which is the entrance to the Grand Line, and they meet Laboon, who is like this huge whale that's kind of like distressed, and it's ramming its head against the cliffside. There's this old man Crocus who is looking after Laboon, and the whole thing is like Luffy's crew gets swallowed by Laboon except for Luffy, and Luffy's trying to find a way to free his crew. This is also where we meet Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine, who have also been swallowed by Laboon, funny enough. But again, we get like another cameo that we're not supposed to get at this point because they go into Laboon's backstory, and they have a flashback with the Rumbar pirates, who are Laboon's friends, who had to leave him behind when they went into the Grand Line.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing is like Laboon is waiting for them to come back, but they haven't come back, most likely because they're dead. It's like, Well,
that's the thing,
it's a really
like,
sad story,
In the manga, when they went over the Grand Line, Laboon was there. He was all scarred up like he is. He was banging his head against the wall like he is. All that stuff was there. Crocus was there, all that. And they talked about the fact that Laboon had like a pirate ship that he like had friends on and stuff, but that was it. They just mentioned it.
Yeah.
And then way later in the series,
the Rumbar pirates.
Way later in the series, they did the flashback about Laboon and the Rumbar pirates because of something else. Again, a spoiler that's like way down the line, so I'm not going to get into it. But they brought that up because it was important at that moment. And here they've taken this thing that was probably, I don't know, maybe chapter 700, something like that, and brought it like all the way up here. Yeah.
And through
they did that a lot in this season.
And through this flashback of the Rumbar Rumbar pirates, we got to see one of them in particular who will become like very important down the road. We saw the character of Brooke, and he's the one like singing a song to Laboon, like playing music for Laboon. He becomes very important because I don't think I can say on this podcast, but it's like Brooke in particular is an important character, and we get to meet him through this flashback. As you said in the original manga or manga, we don't actually meet Brooke at this point. It's just that they're just mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. That's One Piece does that. There's so many characters in One Piece. It's absurd how many characters are in it. In the manga in particular, I mean, if you go into what we've seen in the live action, there's a lot. But I mean, if you go into the manga, it's like, oh my god, there's like thousands of characters, like important characters and stuff. It's so huge.
It's so intricate, yeah.
Yeah. And, but yeah, like Brooke is a very important character way, way, way later in the story.
Yeah.
But he was canonically there with Laboon. It was his crew, the Rumbar pirates, that brought Laboon with them.
Yeah.
So like all that stuff's like, none of that's like made up. That's all like in the canon. They're just showing it to us earlier.
Yeah, again, we're seeing characters earlier. So it's interesting because they do it twice in a row. We're seeing characters earlier than we see them, like, if you watch the original manga or anime, but they're not showing them, they're not out of place. They're where they logically would be. It's not like we're meeting Brooke in Lode Town, out of nowhere.
It's more accurate than season 1 in that sense, because like Garp wasn't in East Blue,
right,
in the manga at that point. Like he was in the Grand Line, but they brought his character over to where like Luffy was and stuff. So like that's different. Like, but here, like a lot of the stuff where they're showing somebody early, it's canonically they were there. It's just that we didn't meet them,
Right, exactly. So it makes sense. And so it's a fun thing that they are allowed to do in the show because like the story has been written, and so they're able to go back and like maybe we can get a glimpse of Brooke at this point.
They're doing a reboot of the anime, and I imagine some of this stuff is going to also happen this way in that anime.
Yeah.
Because the new anime is supposed to be much more condensed and stuff as well. So I can imagine they might do very similar to what they're doing with live action here.
Yeah, so I'm not going to like go over everything, but just the interesting parts. There are a lot of characters, especially because of Baroque Works. I think there's a lot of Baroque Works agents like introduced in this.
Well, the easy way to sum up Baroque Works is that it's always like teams of two. It's always like a male and a female.
Yep.
The male has like a name that's like a number, and the female has a name that's a day.
In Little Garden, you got Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week.
Yeah. Miss Valentine is in Valentine's Day.
Miss Valentine, Mr. 5. Again, like, in Reverse Mountain, we meet Mr. 9 and Miss Wednesday. Mr. 9 is a particularly fun villain. Miss Wednesday, we do find out, is actually Princess Nefertiti Vivi, who's undercover in Baroque Works. So she's not like a committed assassin. And it's funny too, because like when Luffy first meets Vivi, Miss Wednesday, he like lets her free, and then he says she's a good person. And he's like, what my gut tells me she's a good person, and I trust my gut. And like that's another like aspect of Luffy's character is like Luffy is an excellent judge of character. Because he says this twice. He says this about Vivi, and he says it about her caretaker too, who is like another undercover member of Baroque Works.
Mr. 8,
Mr. 8. And he turns out to be correct on both accounts.
Yeah. So
which is fun.
That's typical of Luffy's character. He's a very good judge of character. He like takes people immediately. Like for who they are, like if he likes them or if he doesn't like them, This goes back into like season 1, like he was smitten with Zoro on first sight,
Right,
exactly. With Nami on first sight. It's like Usopp was lying his ass off and it didn't matter. Luffy knew he was lying his ass off and it didn't matter. Luffy liked him,
Yeah, Luffy liked him. Yeah, exactly.
So that's just like Luffy's character. It's how he is.
And Luffy, like Vivi, Miss Wednesday, even though at that point, like she was supposed to be like a dangerous adversarial assassin. And he liked her.
It's funny though, because he freed her and then Mr. 9 was like trying to convince him to free him as well. And Luffy's just kind of like looking at him. He's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. My favorite from Baroque Works this season, Mr. 9 was fantastic. I really loved Mr. 3, David Dastmalchian. He played like this really creepy villain, had like the wax powers he had was
Wax
particularly
Bukkake
awesome.
powers.
Yeah, the Wax Bukkake powers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Golden Week was creepy.
She has that, I watched like a reaction thing on it and somebody put it perfectly where she looks simultaneously like she's 12 and like 40.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
She has that like quality to her that like is really good at like playing a creepy character, you know?
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. The Unluckies were like really funny. Sanji's fight against the Unluckies, the Otter and the Vulture.
Yeah, very brief moment. I'm surprised they even put that in.
Actually, I heard from Sanji's actor, he said that almost got cut.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if it had been cut. It's not the kind of thing you'd expect them to put in.
I'm glad they did because, like, they mentioned the Unluckies several times, so it's kind of like, oh, you know, you kind of think, who are they? And we actually get to see them, and it's good to have that payoff, you know?
Most important in that arc, the arc you're talking about right now, where we meet Mr. 3 and we see the Unluckies and all of that, you meet the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants.
The Giants are huge in like later parts. And like where the manga is right now, they're in Elbaf.
Yeah.
Which is the place they're talking about right now.
Yeah, because Usopp says, you know, he would like to go to Elbaf someday.
Yeah.
And then I heard that,
And that wasn't an add-in. Like, that was always, the Giants were always there. They already talked about Elbaf. Right. All that was there.
And then I heard that they had just gotten to Elbaf in the manga. And I was like, oh wow, okay. So that's like really, really far away before they actually go there.
Yeah, to the land of the Giants and stuff. And then they're very, very important. And they did add a few touches, a little bit more into some of the things that the Giants were talking about. Like, they kept referring to like the sun god and stuff. That's something that you don't hear about until like later in the manga. Like, that's like, they're bringing it up here, but they're not showing it really. They're just bringing it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Giants, huge part of the story. Absolutely massively. On a power scale, the Giants are like around the same scale as like Mihawk or something, you know?
Oh wow, that's crazy.
When they introduced Mihawk, he was such like a absurdly overpowered character for the moment he came in, you know?
Right.
And you're seeing the Giants, they're kind of in that same league.
Well, Mihawk is like one of the most powerful characters in the series.
Yeah. The Giants are up there too, though. It's like seeing the Giants and like they do a good job of showing like how big their bounties are and stuff. That the bounties play a big part in like power scaling of like letting you know things like that, you know? So that was really cool. I loved what they did with the Giants. I love that slash where they killed the gigantic goldfish.
Yeah, that was cool. And then they start arguing about it again and they go back into like their feud. Drum Kingdom was like the most emotional arc in the season. Like,
you got to meet Chopper finally, episode 7.
I was not expecting this to be like so emotional, but it is. Yeah, the whole Chopper's backstory and
episode 7's got to be like the best episode of the season.
Dr. Hirlick's like dying speech to Wapple and his guards at the end is like one of the most stirring, moving things.
The actor who plays Dr. Hirlick, his name is Mark Herelick.
Yeah, which is funny. Yeah.
It's just like a few letters off.
Just a few letters off, yeah. It almost has the same name as his character, which is hilarious.
I recognize him. Previously, he played God in the Preacher series.
Oh, okay. He was fantastic. Dr. Correa, played by Katie Seagal, she kills it.
That was who Jamie Lee Curtis was going to play.
Yeah.
But that ended up not working out. But she was totally down for it. It was just a scheduling conflict.
Right.
But that was everybody who's even mildly interested in the One Piece live action series heard the story about how Jamie Lee Curtis is a huge One Piece fan and there was a role specifically that they really wanted her to play. That was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
And they couldn't make it happen, but they got Katie Seagal and she kills it.
Just like another perfect pick.
Even like nailed the laugh.
Yeah. That's an important thing on One Piece that we didn't really get in season 1 and we've been getting in season 2 is like so many characters have very distinct laughs. Even in the manga, like the laugh will be written out phonetically, like the way they laugh.
Right.
Like my favorite, there's a Nico Robin flashback when like you talked about Nico Robin, like it being revealed and it showed her Wanted poster. And one thing that some people, I think everybody kind of noticed is that in her Wanted poster, she's a child.
Yeah.
So Nico Robin has a flashback to like when that happened. happens, like later in the series in the manga. And there's a giant that she's like friends with that's named like Saul. And he has this laugh and it's written like da shi 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 shi. And that's like my favorite One Piece laugh. But like all the characters have like these very distinct laughs that are specific to that exact character. You know, you saw like Brooks' laugh in this where he's like, yo, you know, and it's really funny how they really put an effort into that. But that was something that really wasn't that much in season 1, I don't think.
But yeah, Tony Chopper is the major addition to cast in this. And he has like a very sad backstory where he's a deer who like ate a devil fruit and transformed, and that transformation made him an outcast. And so like he has no family and no friends, and he's just kind of living with Dr. Korea and acting as her assistant. And then we find out like his backstory with Dr. Hiruluk, and Dr. Hiruluk becoming friends with Chopper and taking care of him and like adopting Chopper as like his son, you know, and then the whole tragedy of Hiruluk getting sick and Chopper mistakenly feeds him poison, and then he goes sacrifices himself in, you know, Wapple's castle. It's this really tragic backstory for this character.
Made so much worse, and I mean worse like in a good way, by the fact that Chopper is so like adorable.
Yeah, so adorable, yeah.
It would be like having Baby Yoda in The Mandalorian and then giving him like the most tragic backstory ever, you know?
Right, yeah, exactly. Also, like, I love like Luffy's reaction to Chopper. He's immediately fascinated. Yeah, he's immediately like fascinated.
Yeah.
And then the whole fight with Wapple. Wapple comes back with a devil fruit provided to him by Baroque Works, because, you know, like he has a deal with Baroque Works to help him reclaim his throne in Drum Kingdom, and he comes back all devil fruited up. And I just like love that, like, his fight with Luffy, and Luffy like clearly thinks he's a joke and isn't taking the fight seriously. Luffy doesn't even seem like he's trying.
Yeah.
And I love the line too, because Waffle's just like, will you take this seriously? I'm trying to kill you.
Yeah, Luffy's like doing stretches.
He's like, what are you doing? And Luffy's like, well, Waffle's like mouthing off saying, you know, I'm the king. I'm like, you know, you can't mess with me. And Luffy's doing stretches. He's like, what are you doing? And Luffy's like, well, from the words you're saying, it sounds like we're going to fight.
Yeah, this is why Luffy's such a great character, you know?
Yeah.
He's stupid as shit, but he's like, he's got this like great intuition, and he's got like this severe loyalty, and he's just tough as nails, as like mentally, you know?
Right, yeah.
And you just add all that together, it just makes him like a really fascinating character. Because normally, like, how would you relate so well to like such a character that's so stupid? But they do a good job, and it's not just through humor, it's because he's also got this like magnetism in his determination. It makes you want to be on his crew, you know?
Right, yeah, exactly. And then he recruits Chopper to his crew.
Yeah. I should point out about Chopper, and this is like a little bit about devil fruits. Devil fruits, there's like different types of devil fruits. There's like kind of off abilities. These are just like random weird abilities. That's like considered like the weakest type of devil fruit. That would be like Luffy's devil fruit, or like Buggy's devil fruit, like where he can be like chopped up, or the slip fruit that Alvida gets. Those are all kind of in that like special effect, like lowest class power. After that, there's a different type of devil fruit that gives you like animal abilities. And the key thing of that is that when you have that devil fruit, you typically have 3 forms. You have like your human form, your animal form, and like a hybrid form that's like between those. But all the forms are kind of hybrid-esque. Like once you eat like let's say you ate the dog fruit, the dog fruit or whatever, right, you would take on dog-like appearances even in your human form.
Yeah, so like it would, like if a human take it with it. So the implication is Chopper ate one of those fruits.
He ate the human fruit.
Oh, there's a human fruit. So, yes. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
So that's why he can speak English. That's why his transformed form, like his largest form when he's big, that's his human form. And then,
that's his human form.
And then the one where he's on 4 legs, that's his deer form. And then the one that we see most of the time is his hybrid form.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you saw another character with animal abilities as well. Dalton also has like an animal abilities. He's like a bison or something. Yeah, they only showed like 2 of his forms.
Okay, so he has a 3rd form. Yeah, we don't see that.
Yeah.
Dalton is the captain of the guard, Wapple's guard, but like when Wapple's like exiled, he's the captain of the guard of Drum Island, and he's concerned about the citizens of Drum Island, and he's like very empathetic to the plights and the struggles.
We even see him in a flashback when like Vivi is a child, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's clear like he never liked Wapple. He was loyal to Wapple's father, who we don't meet, but like through dialogue and stuff, we understand that Wapple's father was a much better man than Wapple is.
Yeah.
Luffy beats Wapple pretty soundly and then recruits Chopper to his crew as the ship's doctor. Then we get our first mention of the Will of D, which is like a big thing because Dr. Korea and Dalton, they're watching Luffy and crew sail away from Drum Island. And then Dr. Korea says, you know, Luffy has like similarities to Goldie Roger. She literally says it like that. She says, you know, he's very similar to Goldie Roger. And Dalton is like, don't you mean Gold Roger? And I think like Dr. Korea just says, oh, is that what they're calling him these days?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she brings up the Will D because she says something like that. It seems the Will D will live on after all.
Yeah. So I can tell you we've already met several characters with D in their name. Two of them you know for a fact have D in their name. Besides Goldie Roger, you have Luffy and his grandfather. Both have D in their name. But there's other characters we've met that they haven't shown us yet that they have a D in their name. But I'll just say it because it's not that big of a deal. Because it's not necessarily like a family. Like it's kind of confusing. They still haven't fully explained it. But there's like lots of characters with D in their name. But there's some kind of a thing that connects them. And we just don't really know what that is fully.
Right.
Yet.
And that thing is
they've
called
mentioned
the
Blackbeard. Blackbeard has a D in his name.
Oh, that's right.
So they're not all good guys. Because Blackbeard is the guy that terrorized the island, Drum Island, before and stuff. And he has a D in his name.
They mentioned him, yeah.
Dragon, who we met, who's like the leader of the Revolutionary Army, he has a D in his name. We're gonna meet a character next season that's probably the most hyped character people are excited to see.
Porkus D. Ace.
Yes. Has a D in his name as well, you know?
Yep.
Whitebeard, which is another huge pirate that's like basically a rival of Goldie Roger when he was around, also has a D in his name.
The understanding is the characters who have a D in their name tend to be the most powerful characters of One Piece.
Yeah, oftentimes, yeah. Or they just have like the biggest dreams. Maybe that's what the D stands for.
Oh, maybe.
Because, you know, One Piece is all about dreams. Like they've made that very, very clear. Yeah. That like,
and Luffy certainly has
clear in like interviews.
Luffy certainly has big dreams, that's for sure.
Oda's made it even more clear in interviews and stuff where he's showing pictures of Luffy when he's older, like drawings of Luffy when he's older than he is canonically in the series at this point, in the manga even. And there's different variations based on whether he's still pursuing his dream or not. And like, if he's not pursuing his dream, he starts to look old and, you know, like sloppy and stuff. And the more he's pursuing his dream, like the cooler he looks, basically. And so that's like a thing that actually like plays into like the art style. It plays into everything in the series. It's all about dreams. It's all about like valuing your dreams and respecting your dreams. And nobody loves their dream more than Luffy, you know? Nobody's respectful of other people's dreams more than Luffy, you know?
Right, yeah.
So that's like a huge part about it. I'd mentioned different types of devil fruits before, and I talked about the animal type and the kind of miscellaneous type that like Luffy falls into. Another type that we did get one person, I think only one person so far that we've seen with this type is, and we'll meet a lot more next season, is Smoker. He's what is called a Logia type. It's kind of like elemental. And they're basically like Smoker can turn into smoke.
Yeah.
You know? That's considered, at this point at least in the series, is considered like the most powerful devil fruit type.
Oh, interesting.
And there's other ones. There's lots of Logia type users and stuff. There's another one that we've met, but, you know, they didn't show that ability, so I'm not going to say anything about it yet.
Yeah, because like we met Smoker and his assistant Tashigi this season. They're semi-important characters.
It's cool because this is when you start getting into all the systems in One Piece.
Right.
Like, there's so many systems in One Piece, and it sounds weird to use that word, but like, I guess you could say like, kind of like magic systems, but not always. Devil Fruit is an example. There's a really major system system that's not going to come up for a long time unless they like tease it somehow like they have with some other stuff here. But then you also started getting this season like the swords. You started to get like the importance of like the great swords and like the swords that have like names and are considered valuable and stuff. Like that became a part of it. That's a huge thing in the series too. There's like a whole system about that, you know, about the swords that are like actually important and stuff, and ones that are they're just swords. And then there's some that are actually like, they almost have like an identity, you know?
Right. But anyway, just like wrap all this up, I'm heavily enjoying this. To me, this is like way beyond my expectations. This has been like a 10 out of 10 series for me so far. I can't wait for season 3. Can't wait to see, like, everything is leading up to Alabasta. And from my understanding, that's going to
be, I think, the entirety of season 3, I think.
Yeah. From my understanding, that is a huge arc in anime. And it seems like so because, like, all the hype they're giving it now, you know, like, everything is leading to that. Like, Vivi is literally the princess of Alabasta, and the whole thing is like, they're going to get her back to reclaim her crown, you know, and so, looking forward to it.
So, structurally, One Piece has kind of arcs within arcs. Alabaster's like the first mega arc in the whole series.
Oh, okay.
And we're kind of already in it, because like Baroque Works and stuff, that's all part of the Alabasta arc. We're just getting the tendrils of it now, and we're not even at Alabasta yet.
Right.
But that's how like One Piece works usually, is they'll be like, they'll have these little short arcs, and those short arcs will introduce these little tendrils of the bigger arc, and then you go to the full big arc. And like Alabasta is the first mega arc in the whole series. So
nice.
That's season 3. Like, I think season 3 is pretty much from episode 1 on is going to be straight into that. I can't remember specifically if there were some other like little island stops before that, but within, I'd imagine episode 1 or 2 we're going to be in Alabasta of season 3. So I'm super excited for that, because that's like getting into like stuff that they've been building up, not just through this entire season, but to some extent through last season too. There were like clues of it in the last season, and then it came big into play this season. But yeah, so season 3 is going to be amazing. I told you, man, like once you hit the Grand Line, it's like a whole new game, you know?
It really is. It really is. Yeah. Like the pacing for this season was like a lot faster than season 1, you know, like a lot more going on in every episode. But yeah, I think that's where I will leave it.
Yeah. So that is it for our full spoiler segment. Next week, we are going to be talking about Wonder Man. So this is a MCU connected show that's supposed to be kind of loosely connected. Like it's almost like self-contained, but it just happens to be in that world or universe. It came out a while ago on Disney Plus, but it's now available on Hulu as well. So you can watch that there as well on either Disney Plus or Hulu. We're going to be talking about that next week. So stay tuned for that. The one exception would be if a Nintendo Direct happens. We will prioritize the Nintendo Direct over pretty much anything. So if a Nintendo Direct pops up, then Wonder Man's going to slip to the next week. But right now, as it stands, Wonder Man is our topic for next week. So stay tuned for that. Until then, thank you everybody for listening. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will on both those platforms. He is at Voxel Hero. You can check out our website, thetotalscreen.blogspot.com. If you go to our website and open up a container story for any of our podcast episodes and scroll down to the bottom paragraph, you'll find all of our relevant links to our SoundCloud page, our RSS feed for the podcast, all that stuff's there. YouTube channel, all of it. You can also subscribe to our podcast through your favorite podcast client of choice, like Apple Podcast or Pocket Cast, and the entire backlog of this podcast, as well as our 300 episode run of our old podcast and other content that we've done for the websites that we've been working on over the years, is available on our YouTube channel as well, so you can check that out there. Until next week, thank you everybody for listening. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.